Hey everybody, it's Christopher Small, the owner of CMS Law Firm. We do estate planning, we do probate, we do it well. Today, I want to talk to you about dynasty trusts versus generation skipping trusts. Before we get into that, though, I want to remind you, if you have questions about this or anything else related to estate planning or probate, and you want to talk with us over the phone for free, you can do so by going to cmslawfirm.com. Okay. This was a conversation I had with one of the attorneys in my firm. We just were talking sort of generally about the difference between dynasty trusts and generation skipping trusts. And I thought it would be interesting to talk about it here because there is maybe a little bit of overlap, but there are some differences. Okay. And those two things are important, right? So, first of all, when we're talking about dynasty trusts and generation skipping trusts, we're really talking about revocable living trusts for the most part. Revocable living trust, if you remember, it's like a box. While you're alive, you are everything to the box. You are the trustor, the creator of the trust. You are the trustee, the manager of the trust, and you are the beneficiary of the trust. You are everything. While you're alive, you can change the trust. You can move things in and out of the trust. You can do whatever you want. Said another way, you have a very high level of control and flexibility with this trust. For that reason, you have no asset protection while you are alive. When you are gone, though, you can outline distributions of this trust. You can outline those distributions based on age, based on really almost any circumstances that you want. You name a new trustee, a new manager of the trust, they step in, they read your directions, they execute on those directions, and the world lives happily ever after. But with a dynasty trust, you are doing one very specific thing. You are trying to create a trust that lasts multiple generations. The way that you do that typically is by limiting the distribution schedule or the distribution power of the trustee. Typically, you limit that power to distributions only for health, support, education, or maintenance. There are no distributions at certain ages. There are no distributions for certain things. If it's needed by the beneficiary, the trustee is allowed to distribute it. But otherwise, that money just stays there and it's supposed to grow and then move on to the next generation. Dynasty implies multiple generations, okay? The generation skipping trust can be a dynasty trust, but they are not this. They hold different qualities. They do different things, but there are different provisions, I guess, that cover each of these things. When we're talking about generation skipping trusts, as the name implies, the benefit of the trust skips one generation and goes directly to the second generation. Often this is a distribution from a grandparent to a grandchild. It is a direct distribution though. Instead of saying, I'm going to give it to my son, Sam, and if Sam dies before me or dies after me, then it's going to go to my granddaughter, Gina. The trust would just say, I'm giving this gift to my granddaughter, Gina, to be held in trust. That is a generation skipping event. This is important because you are only allowed to give so much in that generation skipping manner before you have to pay estate tax. That number happens to be the same number as the estate tax exemption right now, the federal exemption, $12.2 million. So when you get over $12.2 million, not only are you out of exemption, but you are out of generation skipping exemption as well, and you have to pay estate tax on those gifts that skip that generation. Okay? So those are the differences and the similarities between a dynasty trust and a generation skipping trust. They can have similar elements within them, but with that generation skipping, you're going directly to a grandchild often, maybe a great-grandchild, depending on how old you are and where you're sending everything. There are specific rules for this, like 37 and a half years defines a generation. So if you go outside of that, unless you're married, no judgment here, then you're entering into that generation skipping zone, and you need to make sure when you are filing your estate taxes or your income taxes after you die that you check the box to utilize that generation skipping exemption. All right. Hopefully that made sense. If it did, that's great. Hit the like button or subscribe or follow wherever you're at so you don't miss anything else. Leave a comment if you have questions. I'm happy to answer them. And if you want to talk over the phone about estate planning or probate and you want to talk with us for free, you can go to cmslawfirm.com. As always, I am Christopher Small. I'm the owner of CMS Law Firm. We do estate planning. We do probate. We do it well. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your attention. Appreciate you. And I'll talk to you again soon.